One of the most bizarre stories of the Tudor period revolves around Agnes Boca, a woman from Leicestershire who allegedly gave birth to a cat. The Tudor period was a time of execution and much bloodshed, but there were lots of women who were also accused of witchcraft during this. Agnes's story catapulted her to royal levels of intrigue during the reign of Elizabeth I. It was said that on the 16th of January 1569, Agnes gave birth to a cat, and the story caused a huge degree of interest, and many believed that it was a sign of some evil event to come. During the Tudor period, there were great fear of the devil and the dark arts, and many believed that Agnes Boca and her cat was a sign that disease and plague was on the horizon. But what is the story of the woman who allegedly gave birth to a cat? Agnes Boca was born near to Market Harborough to a local family around 1541, and she fell pregnant at around the age of 27 or 28. But her story came to prominence when her midwife reported that she had in fact given birth to a cat, which caused great shock and horror. As mentioned, many believed this was a sign of evil things on the horizon, but others did not dismiss the idea, and it was said that the cat which was born had been found with food in its stomach. Many believed this was a cat belonging to the devil, and at the time a leaflet was circulated. Agnes was not a married woman, and during her pregnancy it was alleged that she had a rather difficult time. She tried to take her own life, drowning and hanging herself during her pregnancy, and little is known about what she did for a living, and it's believed she was a servant. But she did visit London and saw Elizabeth I 3 years before giving birth. But one authority which was keen to investigate the claims was the church, and Anthony Anderson, who worked for the Archdeacon of Leicester, was sent to look at what had happened. He then created a life-size drawing of the cat with annotations and sent this to Henry Hastings, the 3rd Earl of Huntingdon. He had local connections, but was also a man who was close with Elizabeth I, and he then sent the report of Agnes giving birth to a cat to the Queen's chief adviser, Sir William Cecil. Cecil then, after reading it, sent it on to the Bishop of London, and Edward Grindal, the bishop, believed it was a hoax and that there was no evidence to prove that Agnes Boca had given birth to a cat. 4 years later, her case was also dismissed by a London physician. But what actually happened? What could have happened is something much more sinister and severe. Many women in the Tudor period who served as maids and servants became victims of abuse at the hands of those men who employed them. Because of this, a number of illegitimate children were born to young women who had been abused by their masters, and in order to protect the reputations of their households, many came up with creative ways to avoid bringing shame on the family. With this, Agnes Boca could have pretended to have given birth to the skinned cat in the town of Harborough, and with this shocking lie she detracted any shame onto her master's family. This in a sense shows how women were oppressed, and how Agnes Boca was a victim of her master's manipulations, and she was from a lower class family. There have also been accusations that she was also disabled and may have suffered with some kind of problem. Women at this time were also subject to emotional manipulation and even bribery to cover up the unwanted pregnancies. According to the accounts of Anthony Anderson, it was said that Boca started to show signs of the failing illness or epilepsy after being worked as a servant at Hugh Brady's household. Her master was described as very vicious and an evil man, and Boca would later tell her tribunal that she was actually forced to sleep with him on a number of occasions. She said that during one incident she managed to quickly escape and flee, and that she hid in the village of Braybrook, and after this Agnes met with Hugh Brady, her master, a number of times, and the abuse persisted. Agnes then said that the two made a pact that Brady would try to cure her of her illness with medication he could obtain if she gave him a child, and it's then believed that Agnes Boca agreed to have Hugh Brady's child. During another hearing, Agnes named a completely different man as the father, and during the same hearing, she would also claim that she slept with an enormous cat 6 or 7 times during the autumn of 1568. And she then also claimed later this animal was not a cat after all, but was a bear. With this, her lies and confusion spun the courtroom into a bizarre story. She told others that her child had sadly passed away, but what she did was to make up a number of stories about her pregnancy, and many believed that the story of the cat was actually a cover-up for the fact her child had died, and to detract from the fact Agnes Boca could have been accused of killing her child. You see, around 3% of all children born during the Elizabethan era were illegitimate, and a significant amount of these were children born to maidservants or women who were forced to work for male masters. These women could lose their jobs if they told out about the abuse they suffered, and many who became pregnant with unwanted children were sent away and thrown out of the households. Many were also shunned by religious communities who turned their backs on them, and women were left homeless and forced to wander in the countryside with no money or prospects. But Agnes Boca may have come up with the elaborate lie that she gave birth to a cat to cover up for the fact that her child had died, and the fact that she may have even killed her child. This would have saved her from the hangman's gallows by coming up with a spectacular lie that made its way to the Queen's court, and she was a woman who was not very well off. She was a woman who could have been desperate to get rid of a child she did not want, or who was the product of abuse, but today Agnes Boca's story remains one that is one of the strangest and most bizarre of the Tudor period. Thank you for watching, and to support, please subscribe to Her Remarkable History. Thank you.